Welcome, guys, to How the Frack We Got Here, a show that takes the news and events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan, and on this show, we simply are all about the facts. There are plenty of news stations out there that simply want to do anything short but inform you. Here at How the Frack We Got Here, that's all we believe in. We go up to the left, we go up to the right, we go up to the middle of independence, we go up to all sides because there's more than one side of a story to everything. And you need to know it all in order to actually formulate your own opinion. And that's what we try to do here at How the Frack We Got Here. Thanks for listening, and hold on. It's going to be fun.
All right, guys. Today's date, January the 1st, 2022. We made it. And this is How the Frack We Got Here. I'm your host, most Will Buchanan. On How the Frack We Got Here, we do take the events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. Before I do get started, we are a family-friendly podcast, at least we try to be. So we do try to watch our language. However, sometimes words do fly. And also at the same time, guys, there may be things that might be shown that might be too intense for younger viewers. So viewer discretion is advised. Well, like I said, it's 2022. We made it. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful Happy New Year. I know that the Omicron, or the Decepticon that it is, has kept a lot of us from being able to come together or be able to go to where we want to go for things of that nature, just to celebrate the new year. But hopefully you were able to celebrate safely and with loved ones. And like I said, we're just going to hope 2022 is better. With that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into it because there are a few follow-up stories that I want to go over, especially this story that I did cover some months ago that just finally started getting traction for all those that remember this story.
We don't know exactly when Officer Joe Gutierrez was fired, but his termination happened after an internal investigation found that department policy wasn't followed. Now, the other officer involved is still employed with Windsor, Virginia police. Footage from both their body cameras and the personal cell phone of the man they pulled over show us what happened back in December. Now, we've had to watch this many times to put this story together, and it does not get any easier. Viewers should know that this video can be disturbing to watch. 6:30 p.m., December 5th, 2020. Lieutenant Karan Nazario, driving in his Army fatigues through the small town of Windsor, Virginia, saw flashing lights in his rearview mirror. He wasn't sure why he was being pulled over. According to his lawsuit, he slowed down and put his blinker on, indicating his intention to pull over, but didn't do so for another minute and 40 seconds, which he later explained was in order to find a well-lit area.
Driver, roll the window down. Put your hands out the window. Turn the vehicle off. Put your hands out the window.
Hearing these different commands while sitting in his car with his seatbelt on, Nazario began recording from his own cell phone and put his hands out the window as ordered. Turns out, Officer Daniel Crocker had not seen the temporary license plate taped to the back window of Nazario's brand new Chevrolet Tahoe. And seeing tinted windows and a driver not stopping right away, Crocker decided it was a high-risk traffic stop. But this was never explained to Nazario, who for several minutes continued to ask why he'd been pulled over.
What's going on? How many occupants are in your vehicle? It's only myself. Why are your weapons drawn? What's going on? Get out of the car now! I'm serving this country and this is how I'm treated? Yo, look, guess what? I'm a veteran too. I learned to obey. Get out of the car!
Body camera footage shows Officer Joe Gutierrez, gun drawn, unfastening the Velcro around what may be his taser at this time.
What's going on? What's going on? You're fixing to ride the lightning, son.
The lawsuit says Nazario thought ride the lightning meant he could be killed.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I actually
get out now?
I have not committed any crimes.
You're being stopped for trying to violate. You're not cooperating at this point right now. You're under arrest. You're being detained. Okay? You're being detained for
a traffic violation. I do not have to get out the vehicle. You haven't even told me why I'm being stopped.
About 2 to 3 minutes in, Officer Crocker tried to open the driver's door. In his report, he wrote, quote, "When I attempted to unlock and open the driver's door, the driver assaulted myself by striking my hand away and pulled away from Officer Gutierrez's grip." But in his own body camera footage, Nazario is not seen striking anyone. Crocker's report also says that at this point, Gutierrez, quote, "gave several more commands to comply with orders or he would be sprayed with his OC spray, but no such warnings could be heard." Gutierrez just sprayed Nazario, still without either officer having told Nazario what exactly he was pulled over for.
That's up. That's
The car now.
I don't even want to reach my seatbelt. Can you?
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. You made this way more difficult than I had to. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Please talk to
Get on
me
the
about
ground
what's
now.
going on. Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Why am I being treated like this?
You're
Why?
not cooperating. Get on the ground. Lay down and your face.
The officers handcuffed Nazario, then stood him back up. He told them his dog was in the back seat and was choking from the pepper spray. Medics arrived and the conversation mellowed.
Well, what about a 2-minute traffic stop turned into all this?
Nazario explained why he didn't immediately pull over.
I was pulling over to a well-lit area for my safety and yours. I have respect for law enforcement.
But Gutierrez said that wasn't the problem.
If I don't have what the media is spewing or the race relations because of minorities and law enforcement, I get it, okay? So like I told you, as far as not stopping and continuing trouble and you want to win the spot, because that happens all the time. It has to be a lot. And it's I would say 80% of the time, not always, 80% of the time, it's a minority.
And while the officers couldn't understand why Nazario didn't get out of the car as instructed,
Why would you reply?
Nazario said he didn't know why he was being stopped.
I've never looked out the window and saw a gunshot blazing immediately.
Gutierrez eventually told Nazario that he had a conversation with the chief of police and was giving him the option to let this all go.
There's no need for this on your record. I don't want your record. However, it's entirely up to you. If you want to fight and argue, I mean, and I don't mean disrespectfully, okay? I mean, you have that right as a citizen. If that's what you want, we'll charge you. It doesn't change my life one way or the way.
You just heard him say it doesn't change his life either way. That was Officer Joe Gutierrez, who has since been fired. CNN has not yet been able to reach him or the other officer in this case. It's not clear if they have legal representation for this lawsuit. And now Virginia State Police are investigating at the request of the Windsor Chief of Police, as well as the direction of the Virginia governor. The town of Windsor did offer this statement late last night, and I'll read part of it to you. It says, it was determined that Windsor Police Department policy was not followed. This resulted in disciplinary action, and department-wide requirements for additional training were implemented beginning in January and continue up to the present. Since that time, Officer Gutierrez was also terminated from his employment. And of course,
Okay, so literally and figuratively, that was actually the story almost, really almost 2 years ago. And the new development about this is, which I also did want to show very quickly, was that the man right here, that's Virginia Attorney General Mark Herring, is now suing the police department for saying that they discriminated against minorities, specifically African Americans, and violated their civil rights. So aside from that, I mean, it is interesting to actually see them move forward, and especially an attorney general move forward and actually sue that particular to actually sue the Windsor Police Department concerning the fact of what happened to that Army Reserve individual, and at the same time, yeah, it's like, yeah, I mean, that just one cop was fired. I saw 3 cops there, so. I am surprised that an attorney general is moving forward with actually suing the police department, because again, that just explains the simple fact of the matter that there is a lot of issues between law enforcement and how they police themselves when it comes to various ethnicity groups, specifically African American people. But we should not be surprised by that. But that is a story that we will follow. We will follow along as it updates. So the next story I got is also another update, because I actually talked about this one actually a week before Christmas. Remember that judge a long time ago that basically got caught, shouting obscenities and trying to blame sedatives? For all those that don't remember, here's a video.
Louisiana judge is blaming sedatives for the onslaught of racist slurs used in a video at her home that recently surfaced. Judge Michelle O'Donnell says she is sorry and taking an unpaid leave of absence, but insists that she's not quitting the bench. CNN's Ryan Young joins us now. So Ryan, what else is her attorney and what is she saying right now?
When you think about this, Caitlin, this video is going viral. A lot of people asking questions about what was going on inside this home. And I got to tell you, we bleeped a lot of this audio, but some people may find the language they're about to hear pretty offensive.
Oh,
A home video showing outdoor surveillance footage of an altercation with a burglary suspect.
They're like, pull up.
We can't see their faces, but the people are watching and are heard commenting on the video at times using racist language.
And mom's yelling, "Nigger!"
The people who are watching the video are heard using the N-word over and over, and sometimes laughing. At one point, saying the suspect was like a roach. It all took place at the home of Lafayette City Court Judge Michelle Onyet. It is unknown who recorded the video from the inside of the home or who is speaking and how it became public. Now Onyet is facing calls for her resignation.
I was disgusted.
Local advocate and activist Gary Chambers is among those calling for the judge to step down.
This judge, in the privacy of her home, uses the N-word and refers to people as roaches. That's what she views certain people who come into her courtroom as, and therefore she cannot dispense justice equity.
Lafayette police say early Saturday morning, 2 vehicles parked on the home's driveway were broken into. The suspect tried fleeing but was caught and held down until officers arrived on the scene.
I'm the one that took him down.
Soon after the video became public, Judge Onyet issued a statement to affiliate KATC saying in part, "I was given a sedative at the time of the video. I have zero recollection of the video and the disturbing language used during it. Anyone who knows me and my husband knows this is contrary to the way we live our lives. I am deeply sorry and ask for your forgiveness and understanding."
I don't know any medicine that makes you call somebody an N-word.
Onyet's lawyer telling local media she is now taking unpaid leave.
I know that there are so many people that have said, oh, she was in her private capacity. That matters not to me, because a black robe does not hide what's obviously in her heart. And we all know, the entire country knows what she thinks about African Americans at this point.
The chairman of the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus is calling for Onyet's immediate removal, and the local NAACP chapter issued a statement saying in part, "We call now for her immediate and uncompromising resignation. We demand swift and immediate act by the Judiciary Committee of the Louisiana Supreme Court, removing her from office."
We have requested from the Louisiana Judiciary Commission to place an ad hoc judge there. There's precedent. They've done it before when other racist judges have made comments. You know, I respect the due process, and I will allow for the Judiciary Commission to make their investigation and their findings. But if they don't, I'll be bringing them to the table here at the legislature, because they have to come and answer to us anyway.
Yeah, Caitlin, just last night, the governor actually weighed in as well and thought that she would need to step down after these statements were made in public. So a lot of questions about how to move forward, what happens next. But people in this community are upset about the language they heard on.
Okay. So basically, that was a story that we did cover week before Christmas, where a judge was basically saying, oh yeah, sedatives made me say stuff that I would never really say. But I'm not racist. You can ask anybody. Ask her. You know my husband, people know me in this community. We're not racist. We just happened to, I was on sedatives. That's what it was. I was on sedatives. And just like the guy said beforehand, I've seen people on sedatives. Sedatives don't make you racist. Why is it that whenever I gotta point this out? Whenever the Mayo people seem to get caught on something, it's never their own fault. Oh, I was drunk. Oh, I was on pills. Oh, I was on sedatives and things of that nature. It is never just the fact of, yeah, I'm racist, especially as a judge. Now, the reason why I actually showed that, guys, was basically because she said that she would basically not step down. Well, yeah, turns out she did step down. As she said right here, quote unquote, "I take full responsibility for the hurtful words I used to describe the individual who burglarized the vehicles at my home. After much reflection and prayer, and in order to facilitate healing within the community, I hereby resign as judge of Lafayette City Court effective immediately." Yeah. So let's point something out here. I always love this there and say, after much reflection and prayer. If that is not the most conservative statement you can ever make in life, I have never heard anybody else that wasn't conservative go, after much reflection and prayer, I've decided that my racist attitude I should decide to keep my racist attitudes and just remove myself from a place where every court or every case I presided over can be brought into question. And still is. Every case that she's ever been, every case, sorry, apparently my words are slipping. every case that she now has will now be brought into question, because now anybody that was under her rulings can go back and appeal. And if there was a case of racial discrimination, it can get thrown out. There might be a lot of people in the Lafayette city court system right now, who might be going back to appeal the decision if that judge was presiding over their case. But then again, the journalists there are actually correct, especially with that chairman of the caucus in Louisiana. It's like, we don't need these type of people in a judge's position, because they're obviously going to rule heavier on minorities than they will anybody else. I still say that everybody's like, but she said this in the comfort of her own home. Here's the thing. It's only in the comfort of your own home until it's viral. And then once it's viral, once you upload to the internet, it never comes down. Ask Beyonce. There's still a picture of her circulating the net right now that she has tried her hardest to get rid of. Again, when you put something on the internet, it doesn't come down. It circulates forever. It is going to be on somebody's hard drive, file server, or simply in the cloud somewhere, and it will make it, and it will come back like cicadas. So again, I don't feel bad for this judge, because again, this is the whole thing of, oh, I'm going to blame it on sedatives. Why? Don't blame it because your nature. If it is your nature to be racist, then go ahead and embrace your nature. But don't blame it on sedatives. I've seen sedatives have a lot of effects on people. Making them racist ain't one of them. But moving right along, guys, I did want to also cover this next story about another strike that is going on. I know we've covered several strikes, the one on John Deere, the one on Kellogg's. Both those strikes have tentatively resigned. However, there is another strike that's going on involving steel workers and Warren Buffett.
To strike this weekend, the USW Local Chapter 719 out of Ashland, Kentucky, is showing their support by providing a hot meal for those on the picket line. Workers and their families gathered to fellowship with union members inside the Union Hall. While the support from the community has been helpful in ensuring these men and women are properly taken care of, an agreement with Special Metals still has not been met.
We don't go back to meet with the company until December 14th and 15th. We met with them November 3rd. Exchanged some proposals back and forth. Wasn't no big movements. Of course, we weren't able to get it settled. But there's been a whole lot of communication since then.
The Ashland chapter also bought 400 hands and has collected nearly $15,000 to be shared among those.
Okay, so for all those that are wondering, that Special Metals is a company that is obviously a steelworker company, in which, above all else, guys, they actually handle. They handle Special Metals as far as airplanes and airplanes and shuttles, things of that nature. Why is this relevant? Because Special Metals is a company that's owned by Berkshire. Anybody that knows that Berkshire is owned by Warren Buffett, and of course, right now with them being on strike, because again, what are most unions striking on right now? Mostly pay, mostly benefits being reduced, mostly that their insurance is actually being increased. Which means the company is forcing their employees to pay more out of pocket for their health expenses. And again, unions are doing a smart thing. They're going on strike. I have said this before, and I'll never stop saying this. That unions work. If there is a union where you are, join it. If there's not a union, start one. It's not. I mean, the process is actually fairly simple. But again, the reason why Warren Buffett is in the crosshair is because, well, his company, Berkshire, owns Special Metals, and in which this case doesn't seem that the CEO is going to be very concerned about a company that he owns, because he basically sits there and says, well, it's not my job to basically resolve the issue, which again sounds like a rich person's response to me. But again, this strike has been going on since November, with no plan in sight. However, the only difference with this factory is they actually still are continuing. Now, they haven't said whether they got temporary workers or non-union workers, but let's be honest. John Deere tried this. Kellogg said they were going to try this, and maybe Special Metals may have something figured out as contingency to keep moving in this type of situation. But honestly, guys, this is the same story that we're going to keep talking about, because this is why I keep saying all the time, the only way things are going to be fixed is aside from unions, because again, I said before, unions work, But at the same time, it is amazing to me that, this whole thing, not only for the fact of the lack of unions, the lack of collective bargaining agreements between employers and employees, but nobody wants to admit that America has ran this long on bad jobs. America has ran on completely terrible trash jobs that have remained employed, that have people killed, that have people burning themselves out. America has ran on trash jobs. And now in this wonderful 2020 brand spanking new, barely 48 hours old, 2022, that we have to admit America has ran on trash jobs. And the reason why we still have, well over 10 million jobs still unfilled, and yet you still have a bunch of people who are still sitting here and saying, you know what, I don't really want to work this job. Because like I said, the pandemic has made a lot of people realize, it's not worth burning yourself out for a job that does not care about you, for a company that has no loyalty to you, and will gladly replace you for lower pay. So we will follow that story with special medals. Like most of these union strikes we followed so far, they've usually benefited in a position for the union workers. But again, unions work, guys. There's no other way I can say this except the fact of the matter is that we'll continue to watch it. Now, with that being said, guys, we know that the new year has passed, and that the simple fact of the matter is school year is going to come back up for a lot of kids. However, I feel like we're having a deja vu moment. COVID cases are high again. Omicron is definitely being more aggressive. Folks are still not being vaccinated, and we're still wondering if we should send our children to school. How is it that we've done 2021 all over again? However, the most disturbing thing about it is that the educational secretary believes that we should move forward. I wish I could make this up.
Story: kids and COVID. Millions of school children will return to class next week as the nation is setting new case records. More than 270,000 new infections per day, and pediatric hospitalizations are on the rise. For more on getting kids back to school, we're joined now by the U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona. Secretary Cardona, good morning to you. It's good to have you.
Good morning. Glad to be with you.
So Washington, D.C. and a number of other school districts across the country will require all students and staff to test before returning to class. Is that the right approach now?
We know there are many different ways to ensure safety. I do believe all students should have access to testing, but I don't know that it needs to be required. We need to make sure that our students get in the classroom safely and stay in the classroom.
So you said you hope that all students have access, but we've seen the tremendous demand on testing, the long lines. Can you and the federal government actually guarantee that any school or district that wants these tests can get them?
Right. Since the American Rescue Plan was passed in March, money was made available, $10 billion for testing in schools, and districts across the country have been engaged in setting up testing protocols going far back as at March. So the testing supply that schools are using is different than what you might see happening at CVS or Walgreens, where folks are looking for tests. We've also partnered with Rockefeller Foundation, who are working to get school systems set up for testing. Some of the guidance that we put out last week shows examples of that and provides resources for districts that are interested in getting those systems set up to move on that.
So given the dramatic rise in cases, do you think some schools should actually consider going remote again, or at least delaying coming back to class after the holiday break?
If you are fully staffed to provide a safe school environment, students should be in the classroom full-time every day. We've done this before, and we did it before vaccines were available. If you recall, we reopened schools this year right at the height of the Delta variant. We know what works. We know mitigation strategies work. Now we have access to vaccines for children as young as 5. We know what to do, and let's remember, our students suffer when they're not in the classroom. We need to do everything in our power to provide in-person learning options for students as soon as possible, and making sure that we have the resources that are available to you now through the American Rescue Plan being used to fully staff our schools, provide testing protocols, mitigation strategies, so that our students stay in the classroom.
So this week, the CDC released new guidelines shortening the period of isolation and quarantine. Explain how this applies to schools and how teachers and students can actually return to class after infection or exposure.
I'm really pleased with this progress, and it's important to remember that since the beginning of the pandemic, guidance has evolved based on what we've learned with COVID-19. I'm really pleased with this because, to me, what this is going to do is allow for some of the staffing issues to go away. We know that many schools couldn't open because teachers or educators were in quarantine. The fact that it's shortened now allows for educators to get back to the classroom and our students to have schools open. So it does help us, and I do believe that we can do that while maintaining safety in our schools. Keep in mind, we're supposed to be wearing masks in school anyway.
I have 2 young kids myself. We're all waiting to see how this all plays out. Secretary.
Okay, so I'm not against what he's saying. However, there's this one little tidbit that just seems to kind of be missing, where he doesn't explain that how we handle the unvaccinated. Yes, I mean, vaccines are available for kids as young as 5 years old, all the way up to 12 now, and that's great. I will not knock that. Still recommend that kids get vaccinated. I do like the fact the matter is just that, yes, you also at the same time still have the social distancing in schools. Okay, to a certain extent, but that's not for all schools. And at the same time, it's like, yes, you still have a teacher shortage, which again, he kind of bypassed a little bit. The plan can work if all these things are done, but let's also be honest. You're going to have a lot of people out there who still believe in not being vaccinated. There is no ifs, ands, or buts, and I still say that is the X factor because, again, with a lot of vaccination things of that nature, when you introduce the unvaccinated into that type of things, guys, it can always change your plans. And again, we know remote learning has been difficult, challenging for a lot of kids. So as much as I do want to see kids back in the classroom, I don't want us to go back and do 2021 all over again, where it's like, well, cases are high, but kids gotta go to school. We shouldn't still, I still say trust the science, trust the data, trust those who have more education experience in the situation than you do to possibly make the right decisions. I still say that. But I add on to that it's going to get to a point where vaccinations are going to be required. Vaccinations are already required for several different jobs, for several different for hospitals, for federal workers, things of that nature. It's only going to be a matter of time where vaccinations are going to just be required for kids. I think it should already be made for that. Personally, for me, I think that it should be made for that, because if it is, then we've solved our problem. Well, not really solved the problem, but we solved a third of the problem. Because again, vaccinations will help combat the Omicron variant, will help combat COVID-19 a lot better than just hoping and praying. But again, I'm not against the whole idea of kids going back to school, because school is important. Education is so vital. Don't believe me? Look at Trump, people. Education is very vital. We need more critical thinkers out there more than ever. But I just, aside from just adding on a vaccination requirement, I still think it can be done more safely. But we'll follow that as it comes along, as most kids will be going back to school next week. That being said, guys, I did want to cover this story as well, because this is something I've been saying since last year. I know it sounds weird now that 2021 is came and gone, but since last year I've been saying it. But then again, Democrats, you're on the bubble, which means that sometime in the middle of 2022, this little thing called midterms coming up, and I have been shouting it from the rooftops since April of last year. Since April last year, I've been shouting it from the rooftops that you need to do more. You need some wins under your belt, because right now, you trying to retain your simple majority is not looking good. Even more so that progressives have sat there and have warned that inaction on student loans can hurt Democrats in the midterms. Keep in mind, I did talk about this last week, that they did extend the pause of student loan payments up until May of this year. And again, some progressives, like Representative Cori Bush right there, have said the same things, that we keep on ignoring the elephant in the room, which is basically canceling student loan debt, which again was a campaign promise that was fulfilled The campaign promise that was made by Biden Harris. Now, let me also clarify. Biden did say that he wanted to do something about student loan debt. He did not say anything about canceling it. Harris mentioned also something about student loan debt. They did not mention anything about canceling it. So, again, I just want to clarify that because Biden or Harris ever said that we should remove student debt. But at the same time, I kind of wish they did because that would show how progressive they are instead of being centrist. That being said, progressives in the Democratic Congress have sat there and said, if we do not take action on this, that we will lose the midterms. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had tweeted, it is actually delusional to believe that Democrats can get reelected without acting on filibuster or student debt. Biden is breaking his BBB promise, letting CTC lapse, zero path to citizenship, etc., especially when they run from combos about race or culture, which is what 1/6 of it was about. We need to act now. I cannot, guys, stress this enough. That, for the simple fact of the matter is, AOC is right. That, again, it just seems that with Biden doing everything else, pushing his infrastructure plan, pushing his Build Back Better plan, which is actually on a stalemate because you have two senators that refuse to vote on it. One senator just refuses to act more Republican than Democrat. Manchin and Sinema is pretty much on the same way. At the same time, he's not making a movement on student loan debt. Now, on the total student loan debt, we again need to clarify there were some movements. If you had a PSL loan, if you basically got bamboozled by a for-profit school, if you are disabled, things of that nature, those student loans have been forgiven or canceled out. But there's still plenty millions of Americans out there who don't fit that category who could use that student loan debt to be removed. Because again, the one thing about student debt, it doesn't really go away. It just sticks with you. It affects your credit. It affects every aspect of your life because that student loan debt that you took on will force you to pay more, take less, and somehow be happy about it. And also, yes, the interest rate alone doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It is, you know what? That's why I say student loans and casinos have two things in common. The house always wins. And I just think it's crazy that banks can still get away with doing these type of student loans to where people are locked in debt for years. I mean, if they're lucky or win the lottery, that's the only way. That's usually only two ways you can get out of it. But still, a lot of people are not that lucky to have those two conditions happen to them. So I have been saying this. And, if I had a chance to talk to Democrats, I would be like, especially Pelosi, Schumer, Biden, Harris, the old guard is what I call them, just because progressives in the House are sitting there saying we need to move on student debt and cancel it. While the senators, while the Democrats in the Senate are just like, we'll look into it. Biden himself has sat there and said, I won't do that, which I thought to myself, when he said that during a town hall, I was like, "Oh, that is not what you want to say to your voters, sir." But then again, Biden and Harris are safe for another couple of years. They're safe for another couple of years. It's those in the House and the Senate who's currently at risk of losing their job. But I have been saying this. Had Democrats fulfilled at least two of their campaign promises, if their majority would have been increased. Had they passed the Build Back Better plan and actually got people the assistance they needed, it wouldn't be a landslide in the midterms, but it definitely would help. If you cancel student debt before the midterms, again, you can guarantee that your simple majority gets increased. But the simple fact of the matter is, guys, the Voting Rights Act was killed. The John Lewis Act was killed. The path to citizenship, the DACA, was extended and then put into stalemate again. Oh, and let's not even get into the fact of the George Floyd Police Reform Act, which again was strategically killed by the one lone black person in the Republican majority. Again, Biden doesn't really have a lot of wins to go forward and sit there and say with his group, we need to keep this in majority in the midterms, which is why progressives are pretty much saying, yes, you said you would do something about student debt. Put up or shut up. And again, guys, for all those that I keep on saying the entire time, and I forgot, I apologize as I rubbed my eye on live television, but again, it's $1.75 trillion. Currently, as it stands right now, the total student debt of the United States of America, we can pay it. And a lot of people are sitting there saying, oh, well, we can't really afford that. And what about me? I was able to pay off my loans. Why can't you do the same? Well, again, it's the age-old arguments. Those arguments never get old. They always pop back up like zits. But number one, we can't afford it. You want to know why? Biden just signed the Department of Defense annual budget. They operate off a budget of $700 billion. Keep in mind, that's on top of the $660 billion they've already gotten earlier last year. So let me point this out. In 2021, the Department of Defense got over $660 billion in funding. As of December of last year, they got over $700 billion of annual funding. So $660 billion, $700 billion. I think we can stop the argument about a $1.75 trillion student loan debt when the Department of Defense is literally over or nearly $1 trillion in itself. Again, we can't afford it. And again, we find ourselves trying to figure out what Congress is trying to say. Congress is pretty much, well, we already know what they're trying to say. I mean, sometimes a lack of an action is really the answer. Is really the answer you don't want, but it's the answer you need to accept. That yes, Democrats are going to have a very hard time in the midterms. Not unless they do something. And unless they do something, which again, I don't see happening, it's going to be the Democrats are going to have a very hard time convincing the American people that, hey, you should still trust us in the House and the Senate. Meanwhile, Republicans who have done nothing this entire time except vote no or be absent will sit there and say, well, you gave the Democrats all this power. What have they done? Has your life been any better? And Republicans will hope that conservatives and other people have short memories because they don't want you to think about the time under Trump. Those 4 years under Trump that you were still complaining, unless you're a rich person or you're a corporation. I've been saying before, the only people that benefited under Trump's administration was rich people and corporations. Everybody else suffered. But at the same time, guys, I keep pointing this out. Republicans are going to sit on that story once midterms come out. They're going to sit and say, what have the Democrats done for you lately? And a lot of people will have short memories. And again, we'll make it a harder case for Democrats to move forward. Again, Democrats have an easy, if there was any other time for the midterms, the Democrats should spend the next 5 months knocking out what they said they're going to do. If they cancel student loan debt, it's going to be an immediate amount of support for what they've done. If they actually get the Build Better Back plan, social safety and infrastructure bill, that gets passed, again, that'll be a win. But it's going to be a little hard if none of that happens in the next 5 months, and Democrats are still hoping that they can get the people that they can get the American public to trust them. I still sit there and say it this: I propose a new structure for the House and for the House of Representatives and the Senate, that they should treat the serving terms of both those areas should be the same as the president. I truly believe that, every representative should only serve 2 consecutive terms. Every senator should serve 2 consecutive terms. Why? This will ensure that we actually get stuff done. This will ensure that you don't get this lifetime job of doing nothing and yet getting paid, not only getting paid a government salary of anywhere from $140 to $175 a year on top of the already benefits that you get. Because you don't believe me, politicians, there's no such thing as a broke politician. They have they have stocks, they have options, they have facts. Again, when's the last time you've seen a broke politician? That's the reason why I keep on saying the entire time. If we did introduce consecutive term limits on the Senate and on the House of Representatives, things would get done. That's just my opinion. But unfortunately, the only way that's going to pass is if it's brought up to the point to where the American people have to vote for it. And I think it's a wonderful idea because it's going to force the politicians to do what we always want them to do, actually do their job instead of sitting their way till election time. But that being said, guys, I did want to cover this story just because the simple fact of the matter is I just want to know, because this does sound like something that's out of Netflix's Tiger King, but you can't make this up, that a person in a zoo was trying to pet a tiger bit his arm, and the officer shot him. It's not on Netflix. This actually happened.
Zoo in Naples, Florida are considering increased security around its animal enclosures. This after a worker got too close to a tiger and was attacked. The man is recovering. The tiger was put down, and we must warn you, the body cam footage is graphic. Here is CBS's Omar Villafranca.
I'm being attacked by a tiger. Please, please, please.
This was the desperate call made to 911 from a man being attacked by a tiger.
Are you in the cage? No, I'm just outside of it. He's got my hand. Okay. The tiger has your hand?
Body cam video shows the gruesome scene Wednesday evening as Florida deputies rushed to the tiger exhibit at the Naples Zoo. That's where they found 26-year-old River Rosenquist screaming for help, his bloodied arm still in the jaws of a Malayan tiger.
You got a tranquilizer?
They tried banging on the fence to scare the tiger away. But ultimately, deputies were forced to shoot and kill the 8-year-old tiger. Rosenquist was airlifted to a nearby hospital and is in fair condition. Investigators say Rosenquist put his hand in the cage. He was part of a crew hired by the zoo to clean public areas, not animal enclosures, and wasn't supposed to get near the tiger. Malayan tigers are considered critically endangered, meaning fewer than 200 remain in the wild. Tiger attacks are rare, but have happened in the past. In 2016, a Malayan tiger attacked and killed the lead zookeeper at the Palm Beach Zoo. The Naples Zoo closed today as investigators try to figure out exactly what happened and if Rosenquist will face charges. Omar Villafranca, CBS News.
Before we get to our special New Year's Day show, we want to...
All right. Sorry about that, guys. So, again, this is the thing I kind of bring up a little bit just because, number one, I get it that when an animal attacks a person, especially an animal that weighs well over 800 pounds, that yes, there could be a chance the animal does have a taste for blood and then could become very aggressive and then suck over human beings. But that being said, this guy kind of brought it upon himself, reaching through an animal enclosure to pet a tiger, and the tiger was like, no. It's to the point to where it's like, I just want to sit there and go, so I want to sit there and ask, is the person who actually reached through the enclosure, are they going to be charged? Because again, an animal had an endangered species of an animal had to be put down because you decided that you're going to interfere with that you were going to interfere with their environment, and now because of that, they had to die because of your ignorance. Again, I still believe that most animals should be allowed to run free. I understand that zoos are put there not only as a way to show animals to the world, but they are considered wildlife conservatories, mostly in some areas. But that being said, you would think that you would have to tell an individual, hey, do not reach your arm through the cage of a 800-pound tiger and try to pet it. This isn't Tiger King. So, and luckily the man is still alive and probably still has his arm intact, but still, I just kind of felt bad just because the tiger had to die because of the idiotic actions of one person who decided that they basically wanted to pet a tiger. Some things you wish you could make up. And as we're in, and the last story I got, guys, before we get to our feel good segment, again, I still think this is actually going to be awesome. Well, not for a lot of people if you don't believe in vaccinations, but I think this would actually be what's happening because the leading virologist out there in the U.S., Dr. Anthony Fauci, recently did a report that said that the U.S. should seriously consider vaccine requirements for domestic flights amid the Omicron surge. He says, in quotes, there's requirements in place. There's requirements that you might want to get if you want to get into college or you want to get into university or you want to work in certain places. When you make a vaccination requirement, there's another incentive to get people vaccinated. If you do that with domestic flights, I think that's something that should be considered. I agree. Because let's be honest, guys, people are still going to fly during this pandemic. People are going to fly. Yes, this is true. But that also being said, however, the way to actually combat the spread of any variant from COVID to Omicron is that, yes, if you are flying, it is required you be vaccinated. Again, You're already required to wear a mask when you fly. You're already required, and sometimes, depending on where you're going, that you show a negative COVID test. So above all else, I completely and utterly agree with it. Now, who's not going to agree with it? The unvaccinated people. But I've said it before about unvaccinated people. It's going to get to a point, and I will never stop saying this. It is going to get to a point where your life will be so complicated that you'll have two choices. Either get vaccinated or go ahead and live out in the country, a little house on the prairie. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. Because a lot of this is what's going on right now, guys, is the simple fact of the matter is just that the world is moving forward. I still think that we should have vaccinations. I still think we should have vaccinations if you're flying, if you're going to be going from one place to another. Yes, I think you should be vaccinated above all else, wholeheartedly. Because right now you're moving tired. It's just like nurses in a hospital. The fact that we covered stories where nurses did not want to get vaccinated and you want to still work in a hospital, still to this day freaks me out. You are literally in the high traffic area of diseases, of communicable diseases, and you yourself don't want to be vaccinated. Even though for a lot of us, we got vaccination shots as soon as 2 years old. We got our boosters. We got our vaccination shots. You got your measles and mumps and hepatitis B's. Was it hepatitis B? Well, Hep C. Sorry, we got our Hep C shots. So again, you would think because if you want to fly and you want to go to certain areas, you should be vaccinated. Why not? Help us help you. The only way the pandemic's going to go down, just as it did in the past, is that we have to make sure the steps we are taking are going to reduce it. If we're not going to reduce it, let's be honest about it, that we don't care. But at the same time, with the unvaccinated I'm speaking to right now, you guys' choices are becoming severely limited. And you can only blame yourself because the world is moving forward. You can choose to get on that train or you can choose to get off at the next stop. It's up to you. But you can't complain that your choice is basically making your life you can't explain that your choice is making your life harder. No, simply put, you're making your life harder. Because the choices that you make are ultimately going to lead to the simple fact of the matter is just that you will be left behind or you will adapt. Because amazingly enough, I will say this. If polio happened now instead of happening back then, I wonder, and polio was a lot more devastating than COVID. And I only wonder then because the same people are sitting there saying they're not taking the vaccine are not really around to talk about it. So again, vaccine requirements, I have no issue with. If we start doing those on people who fly, I guarantee people are gonna sit there and hoot and holler and complain. But in order for them to get to where they're going to, they'll get the shot. Because again, it seems the only way we're gonna get people to comply with this is to put vaccination requirements on what they do most. I'm still waiting for the one where it's there and says, if you drive or come into a lot of contact with people, that yes, you should get vaccinated. I'm waiting on that one, aside from flying. But again, I digress. But we're going to go ahead and move on to our feel good segment because usually have the Frack we got here. We usually cover a lot of things that are doom and gloom, sometimes make you lose your faith in humanity. But hey, it's 2022. It's a brand new year. So we're going to try to be positive. I know I just got through talking about Omicron and we're trying to be positive. We are trying to be positive. And so with that being said, I did find a couple of stories that should hopefully, put some spring in your step, a song on your heart, and just make you feel positive about this new year. Because again, 2022 is a new year. If whatever you were not able to accomplish in 2021, make it happen in 2022. It doesn't matter if it's a life change, if it's the annual working out, because I know in the gym I go to, I'm expecting, if not today, for all those that went into the gym the day after New Year's, I'm expecting on Monday that, mostly every gym will be flooded with newbies. Happens all the time. Usually by about March or April, it usually kind of thins out. But again, whatever journey that you're wanting to take, whether it's a mental journey to better your health, to better your mental health or physical, or whether it's to finally start that venture, whether it's to start that business idea that you have, or to work on your credit. And I know, like me, I'm a credit work in progress myself, but whatever it is that you want to do differently in 2021 that you didn't do, that you weren't able to get to in 2021, make 2022 that possible thing you can do. Only person that stops you from you. So with that being said, whatever you decide to do in 2022, make it a good one, make it stick, make it purposeful, make yourself dedicated, and trust me, hard work in the end always pays off. That being said, let's go ahead and get to our first story, which I did actually do a story. It was actually a follow-up to a guy who's basically a walking random act of kindness especially when it comes to those in need of vehicles.
In this season of giving, we have a follow-up story tonight about a mechanic in South Carolina who puts people, yes, in the driver's seat. Here's Mark Strassman.
Elliot Middleton works magic under hoods, smoking barbecue at his restaurant and repairing donated cars.
Here are the keys to it.
Thank you. He gifts them to people without a ride in rural South Carolina. More than 60 vehicles so far.
They now know that there's somebody in the community that was looking out for them and cared for them to be able to carry on.
After our June story about Middleton, our viewers donated dozens of used vehicles.
Did your keys come on and check it out?
He gave away 12 cars for the 12 days of Christmas.
You have no idea how much it's taking to me.
I'm so glad to be able to help.
Asia Green got this 2006 Honda Civic.
This is gonna help a lot.
To this single mom, it's like Santa pulled up and gave her his sleigh.
I always am like having to wait and borrow people's cars. And
There you go.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Made possible because of your generosity. What has that taught you about people?
With somebody pushing the iron, there's going to be folks behind you that's pushing the iron as well too.
For the Greens, a used car, a new start. Mark Strassman, CBS News. Oh.
I love stories like that. Stories like that to me will never get old because, again, I keep telling you guys, if you can make somebody's life great, those are random acts of kindness. If there's anything that I have learned, random acts of kindness are like the greatest thing you can do for somebody. Because number one, I've been saying this last year, and I'm going to say this in 2022. If you have the ability to change somebody's life, whether it's a minute, day, hour, or lifetime, go ahead and do so. The world could use more random acts of kindness, and especially and you never see it. Like I said, giving somebody a car who never had a car changes their life. And as you see, it changed that woman's life just because that she now has a vehicle that helps her get around. And I just thought that was cool. That man who basically, for those don't remember, who haven't followed my podcast for this first time you're seeing it, first off, welcome. That last year, I did cover that same story of that man who basically, he has his own barbecue spot, but he also fixes cars on the side as a mechanic, and people were bringing him cars. I mean, that guy had literally a backyard full of cars he was fixing and giving away for free. And that's what he did in that case, and I just thought that was pretty cool. Another story I got, guys, is because, again, I do like the fact of see people win, no matter how long it takes, is a grandfather and a granddaughter both graduating college together. I thought this was pretty cool.
Tonight, America Strong, a grandfather's commitment to college graduation and a life lesson.
It was a dream come true for Renee Nera.
Renee Nera, degree of recognition.
Just before Christmas, the 88-year-old graduated from the University of Texas, San Antonio. And right there behind him, Renee's 23-year-old granddaughter, Melanie
Ann Salazar Maurer,
receiving her bachelor's degree at the very same ceremony.
When we were on stage, I feel like I was overcome with emotion and I wanted to cry out of happiness. You did it, Grandpa, you did it. College is over.
Renee's graduation, 70 years in the making.
Since the 50s, he has been working towards his bachelor's degree, but he fell in love, started a family, so wasn't able to continue school right away.
Overcoming obstacles to achieve his goal and earn that degree he's always wanted.
There were seasons where he didn't have a car, and sometimes he would just take the public bus system to get to school. He has hearing loss. Knowing how hard he worked, I was especially all the more proud of him.
The shared experience creating a special bond.
We would be in the library together and just like work silently side by side.
A grandfather's dedication, delivering life lessons for all of us.
I really admired his ganas, this like strength, this perseverance to keep going no matter what. It's never too late to go back.
Never.
He's exactly right. It's never too late to go back, especially in that sense. Like I said before, I don't care how long it takes. Take it from me. I didn't get my degrees until I was, I didn't get my degrees until until I was 36, 37. So yeah. And this is coming from going straight to college, 18 years old. I have been saying this, that no matter what, if you are dedicated to the cause, I mean, really dedicated to the cause, if it's something that you really want to go after, if it's something that above all else, that you basically, if you're dedicated, that's the big thing. The big thing I keep saying all the time is that you're dedicated. If you're dedicated to it, you'll always complete it. Before I get to my last story, hey Vaughn, my podcasting brethren, titty bit. Happy New Year, man. Yep, I'm only selling dope to white people. Thanks, Dope Sick. I'm only selling dope to... Hey, that's motivation, Vaughn. I'm not gonna be mad at you for that. But thanks, man, for watching. I appreciate it. The last that's gonna mess me up. I'm only selling dope to white people. But the last the last feel good story I have is really a touching one because, again, I have said it before, the power of a parent as far as lifting a child's spirit is great. Even more so, what this dad did because of his son's cancer diagnosis was that he was going to lift his son's spirits up by entertaining, by dancing.
His son, Christian. Now, a few years ago, when Christian was diagnosed with cancer, Kenny started making dance videos like that to keep his family's spirits up. And it worked. The dance moves also caught the attention of some celebrities like Sierra and Common. And this holiday season, we are all about uplifting those who are helping others. Now, this segment is sponsored by Honey Bunches of Oats, and we are teaming up with them to celebrate people making an impact in their community. People like Kenny. Guys?
Absolutely, Ginger. Thank you so much. And we're going to bring in Kenny. Let's see him. Kenny and his family. It is so great to have you, Kenny, your wife, Jocelyn, and your beautiful son, Christian, with us on this Christmas Eve morning. Kenny, you have been pure joy on social media with these videos that you can't help but smile. People have fallen in love with these videos.
Absolutely. And Kenny, we know how special your family is, but let's introduce you to America right now. Take a look.
Kenny Thomas is a doer, a dancer, and a doting dad of 4 who believes in the power of positivity.
He believes that, the more positive the energy is, the better it will help you to navigate through situations.
But when his son Christian was diagnosed with leukemia in 2018, things got tough.
It was really a very scary time. He was very positive through it all, but I know that behind the scenes,
But Kenny tried his best to keep his family's spirits high.
They didn't want anything negative to be around Christian during his chemotherapy. Everything had to be positive.
When it came to Kenny, he was the type of person that was not going to give up, and pretty much told the doctors we're going to stay in this fight until we get the job done.
So he decided to dance. And dance. And dance. Gaining attention from all over the U.S. and earning the title of Dancing Dad.
When I say thousands of people would message us, and we've seen the very first video you guys posted, and it just gave us inspiration. It gave us hope.
Then 149 days later, Christian became cancer-free.
When I walked through.
And the pair celebrated the best way they knew how.
While he was dancing for Christian, he was also relaying a message that you can still dance in the store.
And now, Kenny uses his story to encourage others.
We're going to leap over our challenges. We're going to go over the peaks and the valleys.
And his friends and family are here to say,
Merry Christmas, Kenny.
Merry Christmas, son.
Merry Christmas, babe. I love you so much.
Merry Christmas. I love you, buddy.
You guys, Kenny, Jocelyn, and Christian, thank you again so much for being with us. Kenny, as Jocelyn said, you had to be hurting so much behind the scenes, but you stayed so positive, not only for yourself, your family, but for so many people. How did you stay so positive?
Man, thank you so much for having us on first and foremost. That was amazing. I think it was more so just keeping faith, my parents, brought me up, always remembering to have faith in everything. Having that faith in God was so super important. But I also thought about this. A few years ago, I looked up a stat and it said that the average person breathes at least 23,000 times just in one day. And then I, multiplied it by how many days I can live. And I saw that that's one area of life, so I look at every day as a one of one, like today will never happen again. So for those that are, going through something, hurtful, maybe you're going through something in your past, whatever the case may be, just know that, yesterday is gone, today will, tomorrow will worry about itself, and today is what we have. And when I think of that, I stay so positive as in, what, I'm going to impact today the best way I know how, because this is all I have. I don't know what tomorrow brings yet, but I do know I have today.
Amen to that.
Absolutely. Christian definitely loves you right there. He's climbing all over Dad. Kenny, you say that incredibly challenging time in your life for you and your family helped you realize your passion in life. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so, me being a dancer for 20 years, choreographer for 20 years, when I was dancing in the hospital with Christian, I saw so many people reaching out that saw, the love of a father, caring for his son and his family. And there was one man that hit me up through Instagram. And he said, if you didn't post this video, then I was going to check out. And that right there showed and taught me that, I need to be doing something more in life. That maybe I should trade my career for my calling. And my calling is to help lead people and see the inspiration inside themselves and see the potential that they have inside themselves and allow me to help them pull that thing out of them so that they can go out and do what it is that they're called to do in life.
And we love that calling. We love that calling, Kenny. We know one of your favorite songs, It Takes Two by Rob Bass. We all love it. So Kenny, Christian, get up, do your music thing. Let's see it.
Oh my God.
And Kenny, we have a very special Christmas Eve surprise for you and your family. So Ginger, take it away.
Oh, thank you, Gio. I'm going to keep moving with Kenny and Christian. But Kenny, you and your family are such a source of positivity. And really, we want to just we represent everything that the spirit of the holiday season is. So we have a very special surprise for you. Our sponsor, Honey Bunches of Oats, wants to celebrate you and how much you give back to others. So here's a check for $10,000 so you can do a bunch more. Kenny, oh my goodness, we are so proud to be able to be a partner in this. How does it feel? Tell me what this is going to mean for you and your family.
Oh, this is going to be tremendous. This is going to be so awesome. Like, thank you guys so much. I mean, our kids are going to love this. My family's going to love this. We're going to. Oh man, this I'm a speaker and I'm at a loss for words.
Fantastic,
Yeah,
Kenny.
thank you guys so much.
Christian.
Wow.
So fantastic. We're so happy for you and for all that you're doing. So thank you for being with us and congratulations and Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
And again, I just thought that was pretty cool. The simple fact of the matter is, a parent's love is always going to be unconditional and unmatched, things of that nature. The fact of the matter is that, yes, happy that his son is cancer free, happy that he was able to keep his son's attitude upbeat and positive with his dancing and actually helping out others. That's why I will keep saying it. Whether you believe in karma or things of that nature or not, it's just whatever you put out in the world, it usually comes back to you twofold. So I always try to do right by people. Always try to, try to put good and positive vibes out there, because I've seen what happens is that negatives never lead to anything, but positives only generate more positives, which is what he was getting at in his entire speech. And I was tripping off the mom. Shout out to the mom in that video, because that baby was moving and she's like, nope. And I mean, he called one time that hand came, I was like, pow! I was like, that's a mom for you. A mom sat there and said the whole entire time, like, no, honey. It's like he's sitting there flicking and flailing, and she just poker face. Shout out to the mom in that, by the way. Anyway, That's going to do it for this podcast, guys. I do thank you all for watching, for liking, for letting people know it's live, for commenting. I certainly appreciate that. Before I do get out of here, I do some shameless plugging like I usually do. First and foremost, I'm going to point out Vaughn, who's watching this podcast, my buddy Big BZA Dot, who is going to be returning to his live returning from his Christmas Christmas vacation. You can definitely find Vaughn, the Vaughn Westwood on Facebook or Big BZA Dot on all socials, where he usually has Smoking Trailer Sundays every Sundays from 6:30 to 9 p.m. in which he goes over movies, video games, and other things that he finds interesting that he wants to share with you guys. He also has the RAF podcast, like America's Funniest Home Videos, except done by Worldstar every Tuesday from 6:30 to 9 p.m. Only for the grown and intended, so no kids, please. And on top of that, like I said before, he is going to be returning, hopefully with new shows and new ideas, but definitely check him out, Vaughn Westwood on Facebook or Big BZA Dot on all socials. Also, shout out to my buddies Ari and Geek Salad, Ari and G Present Geek Salad, podcasting brother I met last year, and hopefully we'll be doing a lot more collabs with them in the future. They usually cover a lot of things, pop culture and outside of that, and completely from an unfiltered standpoint. And trust me, they're always fun and entertaining, so definitely check them out. R&G Present Geek Salad on Facebook, as well as the YouTube that you're seeing here. Easy to find, guys. Definitely give them definitely give them a look and see. Now, guys, as far as myself, the link that you see at the bottom, guys, if you actually will copy and paste that in your browser, take you to my link tree for my YouTube videos and Facebook groups. Let me try that again. They actually have the link for my Facebook and YouTube links to where you can see all of my podcasts from all of my shows, How the Frack Got Here, Get Bit, and of course, the Off Limits podcast. Nothing changes, guys. The train is still rolling, and yes, we will. I know I've been lax on Off Limits, but that will actually change. We'll get back to having those weekly as well. And really, guys, above all else, like I keep saying, we definitely keep this train rolling. Like I said, I love doing this podcasting. I've been doing it now almost 3 years, and it's my therapy. It's my way of connecting with you guys. So I do appreciate you guys watching and letting people know what's going on. Before I do get out of here, guys, like I said, 2022 is a new year. It's a new year. Do not, whatever you couldn't do in 2021, let it go. It's gone. You're never going to get that back. Make 2022 the positive. Make the things that you can do now. Do it now, because tomorrow's not promised today. Yes, it is a ludicrous verse, but it's been said so many ways, so many times. But make 2022 the year where you can do something. If there's something you want to chase, you want to obtain, you want to do, then get to doing it. It's just that simple. Also, guys, vaccinations, I cannot say it's enough. I am on the fence of vaccinations. I am simply going to sit there and say, guys, I am simply going to say, for some fact of the matter, guys, vaccinations are so vital. They are so needed. If you're unvaccinated, I don't know what more I can tell you. I don't want you to be that story that waited too late to go to the hospital and you're fighting for your life on a ventilator. I don't want that for anybody. I want us to be all vaccinated. I want our kids to be vaccinated. I want us to get to some sense of normal. We will never go back to the old normal. That old normal is gone now. But we can move forward and get vaccinated, and this is how we beat the pandemic. This is how we get back to some sense of productivity. But we all cannot do this without everybody's cooperation. So that being said, guys, get the shot, get the booster. It's that simple. There is no argument. Please do not wait to the very end. The last thing I'll say about How the Frack Got Here, it's all about staying informed. We're not trying to change minds, persuade people. We are simply doing what the old news stations of old try to do, which is basically give you all the information, allow you to make up your own mind for yourself. We do a lot better in society once we're informed. We're progressive. We move forward. We try to right the wrongs of our past by making decisions now that we should have done back then. Like elect our first Madam Vice President who is Black. I'm still crossing my fingers for Michelle and her husband in 2024. If there was ever a time that we needed you, Michelle, we need you. We need you like we need another Batman reboot. That's how bad we need you, Michelle. And hopefully, I would like to say if it was up to me, I would love to hear the words Madam President Michelle Obama and Chief Supreme Court Justice Barack Obama. I would love to hear those words, but again, we'll follow that as it comes along. So if you're watching this on the playback, please comment if it's live. I want to know your comments on everything we covered so far. And here's to a happy 2022. Where only you can make it to where you are happy at the end. And don't make at the end of 2022 the same as you did in 2021. Make an impact. Make an effort. Give yourself purpose. Move forward. That is how you change things. The way in order to change things, we first have to change ourselves. It's that simple, guys. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. And I usually say this all the time: take care of yourselves and each other, and we will all get through this. I mean that from the very being of my core. If we take care of ourselves, then we'll take care of each other, and we'll beat this. Not only beat this pandemic, but we'll move forward as a society. I truly believe that. Happy New Year, guys. Enjoy this brand spanking new 2022, and we'll see you next time.